Hello, everybody. My name is Robert Perry, and I'm going to be your instructor for this Political Science 102 Spring 2022 class. This is a 12-week section. Obviously, since this is a 12-week section, we in a 17-week class, we're going to kind of truncate this into fitting a 17-week class into a 12-week class. So we're going to have a lot of material that is going to come pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and go over what's going to be in the class. So this is American Institutions and History. This is a 4-unit class. All right, my instruction information is on the screen. If you need to get in touch with me, please email me. I'll usually respond within a couple of hours, the very max, probably 24 hours, but I really doubt that. I'll usually get to you pretty quickly. My office hours are going to be Mondays at the Oceanside campus from 12:30 to 1:30 outside room 4606. Remember, in the middle of the campus, there's like a clock. It's going to be a few hundred yards away from that clock. I'll be sitting out there on a bench, and it's room 4606. If you want to talk to me on Wednesday evenings, I'll have a Zoom link open. It's going to be from 6:30 to 7:30. The link is going to be posted in the module section. I'll show you that in a second. And you can click on that, and I can answer any questions you have during office hours. This class is going to be asynchronous, so I'm going to post lectures. And with the lectures, I'm going to expect you to watch them for the corresponding week that we're in. There's also going to be homework assignments and discussion assignments to kind of help reinforce that lecture. And I'll show you all the content in a minute. We have 2 required texts. The first is Irony of Democracy by Schubert. The best way to probably get it is obviously at our library, but another way to get it would be to visit places like Amazon or even the publisher Cengage and try to rent a copy for a reasonable price. I try to keep prices low, and I think if you rent it, it should be economically beneficial than buying it. Also, we have our history books, which is Reeves' 20th Century America, A Brief History. This book is actually going to be free on the library's website, and I'll show you how to access that in a minute. We also have an optional California book. I don't require this because I'm going to bring a lot of the content from the California book and put it into our lectures. So if you want it as kind of reinforcement, that's fine. I used to make it required, but I decided to make it optional to help out with the cost of textbooks and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and look at some of the things in the class. We have some student learning outcomes that we need to meet. We're going to identify, compare, and contrast the various positions on the ideological spectrum and apply the core values and beliefs of each position to a contemporary issue. The second one is we're going to talk about the system of checks and balances and how it affects our government as well as legislation. And then at the end, we're going to talk about foreign policy and describe the United States' role in foreign policy. And we're going to use a very specific law that deals with foreign policy. All right. We also have class objectives. These are all things that we're going to be talking about. Right. So go ahead and go through them and look, and you'll see some of the topics that we're going to be going in. We're going to talk about history in the 20th century. We're going to talk American institutions like the legislative branch, the executive branch, the judicial branch. We're going to talk about civil rights, civil liberties, public policy, federalism. So there's a gambit of stuff that we're going to talk about this semester. So you can go ahead and look at it and see what are some of the things that we're going to talk about. Obviously, the syllabus may be subject to change. If there's something that I think I may need to spend a little bit more time on, I will do so, and I'll make some adjustments, and I'll definitely let you know. More commonly, some of the adjustments I make are to due dates. So if I have to change a due date, I'll usually try to notify you pretty quickly. But there might be times I don't anticipate it right now. But if there's a date that I need to change, you'll definitely know pretty quickly. Attendance policy, I need you to participate in class. I need you to complete the assignments. If I go in and see that you're not signing in and you're failing to complete an assignment, I'm going to email you. If I don't hear from you or if I don't see you catch up, you will be dropped. So just kind of to put that out there. And under that, here is our withdrawal policy. So make sure you're familiarize yourself with that. So when we talk about course requirements, there's going to be readings that I'm going to assign. We're going to have a 1 to 2 page soft skills analysis assignment. It's going to be pretty simple. It's going to be worth 16 points, and I'll show it to you in a little bit. We're going to have two quizzes. They're going to be both objective. One is going to be a 30-point quiz that is going to be in the second week of class, and the second is going to be a 25-point quiz, which is going to be down the road. Each 7th of the month, we're going to have 3 short essays. They're going to be 3 to 5 page papers about those learning outcomes that we talked about. So if you go into the assignment section of Canvas, you should be able to see the questions already. I already have them posted. So if you want to kind of start laying down a framework for even before we start talking about the material, you can do so. You have those questions available to you. We're also going to have 2 equally weighted exams, each worth 50 points, and they're going to be allocated throughout the semester. And I really try to make it even, the periods between the quiz date and the exam dates. We're going to have a 5 to 7 page research paper that is going to be due in May. And I'll show you the aspects of that. And there's going to be a couple of ways you can approach this. We're going to have 12 weekly discussion assignments. Pretty simple. I'll go over that in a minute. And 12 weekly homework quizzes, which is going to be pretty simple. And I'll go with it in a minute. So here's our grading scale, just so you know the point allocation. I'm going to ask you guys to keep up with current events. I may, from time to time, email you an event that I think is interesting and having to do with our class through the announcement sections. So definitely check your emails, check the announcements, probably on a daily basis. Okay, so let's talk about the assignments. So I talked about those 3 short essays. Each are going to be worth 25 points for 75 points total of your grade. You will need to craft a response that answers the question correctly. I have those questions posted, and I'll show you where they're at in a little bit. I will post the questions in Canvas, like I said, and these are 3 separate assignments, which will be due to Canvas, and they're going to be due on the 7th of each month. So we're going to have an assignment due on March 7th, one on April 7th, and one on May 7th. And this is going to correspond to what the student learning outcomes we need to meet. Our first quiz is going to be on March 4th. It's a 30-point quiz. It's going to cover week 1, and I have a study guide for you to complete. You'll have an hour to complete it. Disregard that line where it says you have the second half of class. You can do it during any time you want on that due date. We're going to have a 50-point exam, which will be covering weeks 2 to 5 on April 8th. A study guide is provided. This is going to be 50 questions, multiple choice. We can have a review session prior to the exam on April 8th. I can set aside a Zoom meeting where we can all jump on and I can give you some tips and pointers on what you want to use when you're preparing for this exam. The second quiz will cover weeks 6 and 7, and this will be on April 22nd. Again, I'll provide you a study guide. Our final exam is going to be given on May 19th. We can also have a review for that exam prior. This is going to be 50 questions, multiple choice, and true, false. And like I said, it'll cover weeks 8 through 11. We also have a Supreme Court project, and this is one of my favorite assignments to give. This is due on May 13th, so I kind of want to give it to you now so you can have an opportunity, again, to start laying the groundwork. This is a research project based on library and online sources looking at a Supreme Court case. What I'm going to want you to do is do an analysis of these 7 questions in your essay. Give a background about the case. Every case is going to have a constitutional question. So tell me what constitutional question exists out of this case. What's the decision? A description of the majority opinion, a description of the dissenting opinion, and a description of the concurring opinion if there happens to be one. Right before, when we talk about the judicial branch and maybe halfway through class, we can go into a little bit more in-depth detail, but for the most part, this is what I'm going to expect. Not all cases are going to have a concurrent opinion, so if your case doesn't, don't worry about it, but still try to address the other points that are highlighted. Here are some examples of cases that I have, and you can use any case that is on here, and then you can also use cases that are not listed. Just make sure that it's a Supreme Court case, all right? It has to be a Supreme Court case. United States Supreme Court case, and I even need to get a little bit more specific there because we have a Supreme Court in California as well. But I would really like you to do a Supreme Court case. So the way you can complete this assignment is writing a minimum of 5-page paper, not including your works cited, your abstract, or your cover page. You can turn it into Canvas, and I need you to use APA formatting. If you want to use any other style, just let me know, and it should be okay. Just give me a kind of a heads up. The other option is to create a 5 to 10 minute video presentation about this case using some type of visual aid with a voiceover. So if you wanted to do a PowerPoint, you can answer all those 7 questions in a PowerPoint, but also voice it over and tell me what you've learned about it when you're describing the case. You could do a skit. I have people done skits in the past, and you can also, do screenshots. Just let me know if you need any guidance. I can also schedule a Zoom meeting if you want to go over this in further detail. Here are some links that may help you. The Purdue Writing Lab, the APA website, and also these are pretty good resources here. Oyez, Justia, and Supreme Court blog. They can give you a pretty good idea of what cases you want to review, and it gives you a pretty good synopsis of each case. So I highly suggest or highly encourage you to use Oyez and Judicia for that. If you go to the Supreme Court blog, there's pretty good details out there, and I think they even have recordings of Supreme Court cases. Supreme Court cases are generally not filmed, but they do have audio recordings, and there should be some on there. Okay, I said earlier that we had weekly discussions. Discussions are going to be due on Saturday. So I'm going to post a question. I'm going to want you all to respond to it using kind of the knowledge that you learned in this week's lesson. So after that, after you post your question, and it's going to be due on Saturday, I'm going to give you until Sunday to respond to 2 fellow classmates. All right, so I want you to give kind of substantiated feedback, not necessarily saying like, oh, I agree with this, but why do you agree? Or why do you disagree? The one thing that I do ask is that we all have different opinions, and let's all be respectful of each other and not get into these little snippets and arguments that people tend to get as we see on the internet. So just be respectful and we'll be fine. We also have weekly homework quizzes, and I like to do these weekly homework quizzes because they help reinforce what you learn, and you have multiple attempts to do it. So if you don't get the whole point total on the first attempt, just go retake it, and then you can do it until you get the full point total. And what I highly suggest you do is you jot down the answers and what you learn from this and have it ready when you take the exam that lesson corresponds with, because there might be a possibility, wink wink, that some of these questions might appear on the exam. Also doing something for the college called a soft skill analysis. JCAPA is a tool that develops self-awareness of critical skills. I'm going to want you guys to take a survey of your soft skills. These are things that employers are looking for when they hire, and then I want you to write a 1 to 2 page assessment about that. Pretty simple, right? Just tell me, is it what you expected? What soft skills do you think you need to work on? Is there anything to surprise you? And I have the assignment posted in Canvas for you to visit with the instructions. All right, so those are what we have going on. And remember that soft skill analysis is going to be worth 16 points. And it's actually going to be due March 31st, so you have some time to do it. Okay, here is how the calendar is laid out. I have our first week here. We will be quizzed on this material on March 4th, right? And then if you go through this and look, you'll see all the content that we're going to be talking about. And we're going to be talking about a variety amount of stuff. So it's, like I said, this is a 17-week class fit into 12 weeks. So, it seems like a lot of material, but just hang with me, stick with me, and we'll get through this. All right. If there's anything you don't understand, let me know. I can clarify it. I can meet you during office hours. If sometimes those office hours don't work, I can set up appointments as well. I'm here for you. I'm here to serve you. And I really want everybody to do well in this class. So just kind of going through, Here we have the whole calendar laid out all the way to the end of the semester. And make sure you pay attention to the due dates. The makeup policy, if you miss an assignment, you have 2 free passes to complete it. After that, if you use up your 2 free passes, I'm going to start deducting for late work. But usually it's not that difficult of a thing to do. I'll definitely remind you when assignments are due. At the beginning of each week, I'm going to send out an announcement letting you know what we're going to do for that week, and then that'll tell anything that is due. But just please remember, you have a calendar here in Canvas that will show you all the due dates. If you need an accommodation and you have a letter from SAS, please let me know, and I can work with you on that. Pretty simple. There's accessibility statements, library resources, support services, student conduct. So just familiar yourself with the policies and stuff like that, and other resources that the college provides. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our Canvas shell. So here's our Canvas, and most of the time I'm going to want you to visit the module section, right? And if we look at the module section here, go right back up. Here is my link for office hours. So each Wednesday you want to click on this link and open Zoom, and I'll be on the other side. All right. If, for instance, I have something that comes up, obviously we're all human and we may have issues that might arise in our lives. I'll definitely let you know. But that's how you're going to be able to get in contact with me if you don't go to the physical office hours, which I don't expect you to do. Here is a link to the Reeves book. You click on that, you put in your library credentials, and it'll give you a copy of the history book by Thomas Reeves. There's some links here for institutional support. The Writing Center, which I highly encourage you to attend or to make an appointment with and have them look at your stuff. Also, I have a sample research paper on here if you want to take a look at that. I don't really have a sample video project because it's hard to do it with students because of the privacy. They'll be showing their face, their names, saying their names a lot of times. So it's a little bit more difficult for me to have one available for you. But if we meet, I could kind of give you some pointers and stuff like that if you need a little bit more guidance. And then we have each individual week here, right? We have the discussion assignments. So you'll go here. Your screen might look a little bit different because I have a instructor's view. So the first thing I'm going to want you to do, and this is due by February 25th, I'm going to want you to go into the mandatory non-graded first assignment, which is going to be an introduction. So just tell me a little bit about yourself. I want to know who's on the other end, right? If you ever have a question, you can use this I have a question link. And then on February 26th, we have our first discussion question due. What'll happen is you'll answer that question, and then you will have until the next day to respond to your classmate's question. Or your classmate's response, sorry. I will normally grade these on Mondays. All right, so once everything is done, I'll go in and grade, usually on Mondays. Also, if you go into the module section, and the way I have this set up is, and we'll use the first week as an example. I have what we're going to go over. Sorry, that's one of the things about Canvas that bothers me. Have what we're going to go over, have the readings. So you click there to look at the readings, our learning objectives, our PowerPoints, other PowerPoints, and a study guide for the first quiz. All right, so you're going to want to print that out, and when you're going through the material and listening to these lecture videos, you will want to have that handy so you can answer some of the questions that are on there. And then we'll also have assignments due, like here's the first discussion question, and here's the first practice quiz. So there's going to be 6 questions here in the practice quiz, and they're going to correspond to what material we're talking about. So if you look at this, it's going to say, you have multiple times to take it. This is a graded quiz worth 3 points, and if you preview it, it'll give you the quiz and you just answer it and go through, and you can take it as many times until you get the full points. And I also want you to note the question and make sure you understand the right or wrong answer before you take the subsequent exam or quiz. Hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Also on the assignments link, we have the exam and quizzes, but we also have the short essays here and the soft skill analysis. Here's an example of the first essay question. You can look at it here. What may be some I want you to tell me a little bit about the system of checks and balances in a 3 to 5 page paper. Pick 5 checks and then let me know where those checks are derived from. Is it from the Constitution? Is it a Supreme Court decision? And also talk about the source of the judicial powers checks, power to check laws made by the 2 other branches, and what might be some consequences of the checks and balance systems, if any. You may think it's a perfect system, but kind of take a look at it, and you should be good to go. And we definitely go over checks and balances in the videos that are posted. Please use proper grammar, spelling, and organization. Make sure you cite in text for all your papers. And here's kind of the point breakdown for this first one. If we go into the second one is going to talk about ideologies. Define communism, give me an example of it. Define modern liberalism, give me an example of it, and so on. Again, I want you to use proper spelling, grammar, organization, and use proper citations. The third one is a little bit different. The third one is going to be about the Patriot Act. And I'm going to give you these questions out here. I'm going to want you to respond to them by May 7th. And this has to deal with an act that was passed that, in a sense, kind of curtails civil liberties. And it also gives the government the power to surveil on foreign powers, which is, tied into foreign policy. Now we have this soft skill analysis assignment. Like I said, here is the assignment. Here's the link. Here is the access code. Take the assessment, and then I just want you to write a short 1 to 2 page paper about what you found out and answer these questions. It's pretty easy, pretty simple, and this is going to be due March 31st. All right, so make sure you check the announcement sections all the time. I already have a video up there posted for resource videos about checks and balances, so take a look at that. And I'll post any other announcements in here that may help you. Okay, so just remember, please stay in contact with me if you're having difficulty in this class. Usually if there's some difficulty that are going on, I can work with you. My goal is for everybody to pass. The only time I'll give somebody a bad grade is if they start blowing off work. But if you give me an honest effort and you work hard, you should be okay. All right? If there's any questions, definitely let me know. Thank you.